Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of IAA Cochin Center, it is my great pleasure to introduce architect John Bulcock, a distinguished architect with an impressive career spanning over 36 years. Architect John's expertise extends across architecture, planning, interior design, and landscape design, with a notable portfolio of projects across Europe, Turkey, India, and Southeast Asia. Since 1994, Architect John has been entrusted with a diverse range of commissions that includes residential, commercial, institutional, and sustainable buildings. His commitment to low energy and sustainable design principles underscores his architecture philosophy, which has earned him several international prestigious awards. His project, Factory in the Forest, received a commendation in the recently completed Monsoon Architecture Festival organized by the IAA Cochin Center. It is also noted that Architect John briefly collaborated with Architect B.V. Doshi during his tenure in 1994. Please join me in welcoming Architect John Bulcock, whose visionary work continues to shape the landscape of contemporary architecture. Thank you.
Okay, I'm John Bulcock. I'm a UK registered architect. I'm from the UK, of course, and I've been practicing in Malaysia for around about 30 years or so. So I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for having me here, all you distinguished people. So my talk is called Touching Lives because I think that's what we do as architects. When I was just graduating and through my schooling, in fact, I was developing this philosophy of contact with nature. Because I think in nature, we cannot be told what to think. We actually can get close to ourselves for our own thinking. And I'm just using this as and so I didn't want to actually work with any other company, or soon after graduation, I started my own company because I wanted to develop this philosophy. I'm just using this as an example. This was a competition from the 1980s, an RIBA competition, which was for an art gallery in a town in England, in the center of the town. So what I did, I created this walled garden here, so people could come in their lunchtime and meet their friends, have coffee, whatever. This is actually the gallery, and then they could actually get attracted to the art. I thought this was a good way actually to introduce people to art who wouldn't normally, the art gallery, who wouldn't normally be attracted. And I did quite well in this one. I didn't win it, but I got placed. But the citation said something along the lines of, John Bulcock has designed a space worthy of discovery, but he's a romantic dreamer. And I thought to myself, well, what does that mean actually? Does that mean that it's not serious or whatever? So I think the lesson here was, to young architects now, is you must follow yourself. Don't let anybody tell you what architecture is for you. Don't be put off from the direction you want to go. Because this contact with nature has been my philosophy throughout my career. As I said, within nature, I think we cannot be told what to think. We can, back in those days, if you talk like this, as I say, people thought you were a romantic dream. And these days, doctors are prescribing forest bathing on prescription for people who, from the city. So you can see the change around in the last 30 or 40 years of the thinking about contact with nature. And if you go to an art gallery, you see a painting on the wall, and that painting touches you, it's not actually the thinking of the artist that is stimulating you into your own thinking. It's the soul of the architect artist is on the canvas, and that is stimulating your own thinking. And I think with nature it's the same, and relate that to architecture. it's the same. But it's the spaces that actually, it's the sort of, the soul of the architect within the space that actually stimulates us into our own thinking. Because for me, the essence of architecture is not about aesthetics. It's about space and how we react to that. The space stimulating into our own thinking. This, for me, is fundamental. Okay, a little bit how we work. This first section, by the way, is a bit about my philosophy. Then I'm going to show you 4 projects. 2 larger ones, 2 smaller ones. And so this is, when we first go to a site, our approach is actually to find what we call the spirit of the site there. And by that means we spend a lot of time there, different times of the day, different days of the week, etc. I'm sure you all do this anyway. But we look at the whole context of it, not just the site itself, but what benefits the area can find us. For us, shade and air movement is the essence of providing comfortable places, spaces in the tropics. And that might be canopies, landscape, insulating roofs, moving air by fans or cross-ventilation. With these projects, we create these sort of perforated walls, we call them, these bamboo screens which have glass louvers, so we get natural ventilation, cross-ventilation through these spaces. We like to use a small palette of material on our projects, and we like to use materials that don't need finishing, things like brick, off-form concrete. We use a lot of bamboo as screens, and we like to use materials that express themselves for what they are. We don't like to dress it up, like, you know, putting makeup on and a mask. It's just let the material be what it is. Then we also like, you can see this is I'll use this to demonstrate this. This is a house we designed, quite understated, the entrance, but as soon as we enter, we find ourselves sort of outside. There is no rear wall to this house at all. So we find ourselves facing this courtyard. Through that, we get the trees at the back of the site here, which is not actually in our site, but it's using the site for the benefit. We look for things like this, where the trees can actually play a big part in the design of this house here. And what I call this layering of space, it's from light to shadow, because I think this draws us into space. When I first went to Malaysia, I was sitting in this small coffee shop, a little shack with a corrugated roof, a very small space. And there was a massive thunderstorm, and suddenly the road, which you could see there, or the trees you can see here, became completely covered by the rainfall. The rain started trickling down and suddenly got harder and harder. And the rain was splashing off the floor. I was dry, sitting about a meter in there, but the experience of it was amazing. Because the scent of the rain, the visual experience of the enclosure, now we were completely enclosed, had a lasting effect on me. So this has actually been prevalent in all our work. So sometimes they're spouts, sometimes we do rainwater slots like this. This was one of the first projects I completed in Malaysia, actually, which is a research center. And from that rainwater slot, water falls down here into the catchment area, and then is taken away for recycling. But when it's raining hard, you don't see out into the garden here. It's really amazing. It also has another practical benefit of gutters get blocked and mosquitoes breed. But the main thing is actually the psychological connection to this climate, because I think it brings us closer to this climate. Seeing the water gush down like this in fountains. Landscape is an integral part of our work, of materials we use, just like concrete or brick or glass. We use landscape in the same way. It also has a practical benefit, because if we have hard surfaces around all our buildings, we get 50% of the sun's energy throughout the day stored in that hard surface. When the sun goes down, that energy radiates back, heating up the whole environment around. That means we use more air conditioning, or we can't open up the windows. And it heats up the whole environment. If we have landscape around, only 5% is stored. So this one is very critical for us as well. Less hard surfaces around the building. So for instance, like this project, even the roads of the car park here, we made green to reduce that. We like to express all the structure and materials. So we like to see what buildings are made of, how they're put together. I think there's a kind of honesty in this. So we do this no matter the material. This happens to be steel, but it might be concrete or brick or something else. We're spending about 90% of our lives in buildings, so I think we better make them stimulating, better make them not harmful to our psychological well-being. I think they should be stimulating us, and working in natural light, with contact with greenery and sky condition throughout the day brings stimulation, joy, improves mental health and productivity. And this is something we stress to our clients about the productivity, because they're always interested in this productivity. By having people working in this type of environment where we have natural light, we have greenery, etc. So very quickly, this one is what we consider to be a sustainable building. Of course, reduced impact on nature, the comfort of people. These ones are a given, I think. But it's the psychological well-being, stimulation of building. This one, I think, is often missing. And this one, for me, is the most important, actually. Because if it's not psychologically stimulating, if it's not putting us in contact with ourselves, then I don't think it's sustainable. So what I'm talking about here, of course, is passive design. Get siting of the building, orientation of the building, shading of natural ventilation, low maintenance materials, etc. So buildings must belong to their climate, to belong to their culture, to belong to architecture. This is what I feel. If they're missing, I don't think it belongs to that climate, to that culture. So the first project I'm going to show is the making of Amylus at the runway. Amylus is an electronics company in Malaysia, in Penang Island. And one day, out of the blue, I got this fax with just 4 pages of a brief saying, would I like to participate in this competition? And so I've extrapolated some of the brief here, because this client was very special. As we all know, we need good clients to create architecture. But part of the brief was, he wanted an iconic building, but again, we have to interpret what that means, because an iconic building could be something ostentatious, but that was not what it was about. It was actually something that was meaningful for him. So that's part of what the architect needs to do. Conducive for creative work and thinking, etc., but strictly no typical accounting firm. So when I see this in a brief from a client, I know the client is interesting. So it's a competition we won for this it's of electronics and office space. So this was the site, quite sort of scruffy piece of land, and but it had one sort of this redeeming feature. It's actually right next to, overlooks Penang Airport. So this is our site here. This is a huge industrial area here with the main runway and then the taxiway. So the taxiway actually comes very close to our building here. And the main terminal is down to the left here. But all these, what we noticed was all these buildings, they all turn their back on the runway. They all turn their back on it. They all want to face this sort of dusty, polluted road, main road here going to the airport here. So we thought this was a bit strange. So this is our site here. So we have this green. It is a runway, but it's still green space and it's open space. You have some sort of vista as well. If we look this way, we just have industrial buildings. We always do a simple little environmental study. This is just quite typical of it. So we get the sun path, the views, prevailing winds, etc., and then we can know how to sort of protect. So this was the concept of the building. This is the site. And then we have a 3-story block. There's approximately 3-story, 50,000 square feet rather. The car park underneath. The block separates to allow entry into the reception hall, which overlooks the runway. We adjust the spaces or the blocks for program and the views. 2 brick boxes with open ends to the runway with roof gardens. The space between becomes multifunctional. Primarily, it's obviously a circulation space, but it can be much more than that. It's actually a space they use for meetings, small meetings, big meetings, coffee. And for us, it became like the soul of the building, this space. And then the canopy shades from the sun. And then this was the completed building facing the runway. So facing the runway, we're very open, as you see here. This can be full height glass, because we've recessed for these balconies. We've got a big shading canopy over the top. So we can get right from deep in the building, we get this view out to the runway here. But because we turned the building around, as it were, this gave us this is from the road side. So from the main road side, this we call the back now, even though it's facing the front, becomes very enclosed, as you see. We have these projections for view, for blocking the sun, and letting some light in, of course. So what that did, though, it gave us a problem of because we changed the building around and we're entering from the main road, which is along the bottom here, we want to enter into the building here, and I didn't want to take people around and park cars in this area here. We wanted this to be as green as possible, this area. I mean, there's a lot of cars. Every project needs a lot of cars, it's a commercial project. So we tried to actually keep as much green space as possible. So what we did, we made this tunnel into the building here. It's actually a ramp up, the walls converge, and the ceiling comes in. So we get the whole 4 sides converging to a little square of light here, which is the door in. This is actually a brick surface. The client calls this the red carpet, this area here. So this is where we come in, we drop off here, and then we can come in. This one is like a running track. That one I will go into a bit later. But this client was quite creative, and he wanted funny things. But this was quite interesting, providing this running track around the building here. So now you can see actually the little square of light from the red carpet here and the walls converging in. So this is the main entrance. And then at night, you can see how we are. Okay. Then walking up the ramp, the walls converging, as you see, we have our perforations here for a little bit of ventilation. And then when through the door into the volume of this triple volume space, which overlooks the runway, which is like this. So this is where we've entered. So we get this sort of surprise of space and this sort of light-filled lobby, which is now where we want to be, overlooking the green at the rear here. And then where should I be pointing this, huh? So a view looking back up to up the main lobby. And this, as I say, is mainly circulation, but it can be used They use it for films, they use it for small meetings, people just sit around. It's another breakout space, actually, where people can get together, you can get away from your desk and sit here. It also, we get borrowed light into the offices, but it also makes it quite intimate. So people working in the production and the office, they have this sort of close connection. Okay, this is a floor plan of the office. This is at office level, actually. And then, so you can see the projection, how the facades are broken up with these brick projections. These become like, this one, for instance, a small room to take you for a conference call or just to get away from your desk for a moment. Larger ones like this for a group meeting along the perimeter with a view of the runway or view back to the green hill at the back here. Same on this side here. This is all naturally ventilated, by the way, this main lobby space. We just have 2 big-ass fans, which works very well. Keeps it cool. Obviously, all the toilet areas are all naturally ventilated, and staircases are all naturally ventilated as well. And then just a small slit of north light for the laboratories here. Yeah, so, and then this is the facade. This is the west facade, so you can see we're not going to get too much of the west sun penetrating in here. And this, we like to keep as much green as possible. You see the parking. This one we couldn't keep green because they want to build a roof over it, so we couldn't actually put our grasscrete area over here, this one here. And the projections. So inside, it's something, for a small one, something like this. You can see one of these ones like this one. The view out to the runway. So why bricks? We like to use clay bricks in a lot of our projects because we think they're timeless, they have their own beauty, they're not expensive, and I think they're just quite beautiful. The bricks. And then you can do interesting things with them, like creating these perforations. The light patterns are beautiful as well. So the staircases all become naturally ventilated, like this one. Here, we couldn't just let the water flow off the roof because we got cars running here. So we did have to bring it down into some sort of pipes. We don't usually do this, but here we had to do it. But you can still see the water flowing here, and then you see it flowing here as well, which is important to us. Our grasscrete. So we do the minimum hard surfaces again, as much as possible. You can see here we got about, with canopy, with the over-sailing canopy and the greenery, we can get about 10 degrees difference in temperature. It really is that much with the landscape and the canopy. So this was the running track I talked about earlier. I mean, it's more like a walking track, really, because there's not enough space. But what it does do, it gives another breakout space. This is what I feel about it. So in your lunchtime, you can come out, stretch your legs, and walk around. Now the landscape's coming up, you get shaded path all around the site. Because in this area, the industrial area, there's no parks, there's no green spaces to go just, your lunchtime. So we create our own little world here. And again, you can see how the temperature, these are thermographic images. You can see how much different it is. It goes from below 30 up to above 40, this range here. It's much, much cooler. It really works. This is the natural ventilation we like to do. And we're always looking how to get natural lighting. We made these roof lights in the top floor like this. And you can see here, this is taken from deep within the building. So this is from an office area through a meeting room. There's another office area here, and then some sort of sports in this room here. And you can still see right through the building. So we get this natural light and this connection to the outside from wherever you are in this building. Okay, this is a little project in Sri Lanka called the Coconut Tree House. When I first went to the site, I found out that there were coconut trees available. They had been cut, and they were clearing some land, I guess, or something like that. And so we grabbed them, and I actually wanted to build the whole house out of this coconut trees, which I'll explain in a minute. So this is the site. It's a very stunning site right in the south tip of Sri Lanka. This is the site just here. The beach in front, and then you go up the hill a bit, and the site is up here, and this is what the site is like. This cross-section through. So I didn't want to bring cars down to the. It's a little resort. It's a little resort. But I didn't want to bring cars down to here. So we kept cars at the top, and I encouraged people to walk down, but it's a very restricted view, so I wanted them to actually walk down, then you enter onto the roof of the house, and then you come down. It's a bit annoying, this, huh? So we come down, so we enter onto the roof, we come down a step, and then we have a ramp down and into the main body of the house. It's a very small little house. We come down to the first level. That's the first bedroom. There's another level here. That's another bedroom, and that's another bedroom. So the bedroom steps down the hillside, again giving us this sort of better understanding of the site area. The roof is the same, so the ceiling heights differ as we come down. So the plan is like this. So we park at the top here, we walk down and enter onto the roof like this. Let me just blow it up. Like this. So we come down, you can see the first landing, we come off into a small bedroom. Each bedroom has its own little courtyard, both for the bathroom and for the bedroom itself here. The main living has a big courtyard as well. So it's really just like spaces in nature with a roof giving it this unity. And then the idea was we would come down, not really seeing the view, and when we get to this point here, we actually then can see the whole panoramic view for the sea. This is what the roof looks like. So it's just sort of placed within this coconut grove. It's almost not there. So now we've come down. This is how we enter. So we enter onto the roof, the green roof here, and then we come down into the main body of the space. And then this is the roof area of the. This is the entrance here. So you can see the whole space. The coconut grove sort of merges into the house. This is quite an early photo, but so it's designed to have sort of these trees coming out of all these courtyards as well in time. And we have, so this was coming down, again it's another tunnel. We come down this tunnel into this sort of quite narrow, dark, in a way, brick space, off to the first bedroom here. Perforated brick walls, so in the daytime you get these amazing shadows. But very simple, though. Very simple, very raw. And then when we get down, we get these views out to the sea, into the... and again, no walls here. It's just polished concrete. It doesn't really matter if this gets wet here, at the front here. We use the site as well. So you can see we've got the existing... This is actually an existing tree that we retained. And we retain the existing sort of slope of the hill coming in. So the breakfast bar, we sit full height here, and then we sort of sit around the ground at this end here. And then the coconut. This is what I found, and this is what really excited me when we found these, because I wanted to use these as the main structure of the house. But the engineer wasn't having any of that. So we still had to have the concrete columns, but we used them for screens and for privacy and security around the house. So they don't touch top or bottom, they just sort of suspended within the space. So this is a bathroom for one of the bedrooms. And then at the back of the living, we have these screens wrapping around, sort of defining the house. And then the front, overlooking the sea and the pool. And this is where we walk down into the sea here. It's a very stunning sight, actually. Yeah. So the bedrooms, all of the bathrooms are open. We get natural ventilation right through. These are perforated walls this way as well. And even the bedrooms as well, they can be aircon or they can be designed to be naturally ventilated by opening up these spaces. And we want it, as you say, it's very raw, and this is what we like. We like these raw spaces. And this is a stunning view out. Master bedroom, so again, these can all slide back and open up. So the master bedroom is like sleeping out in the coconut grove. Okay, another little project. This time, it's in the city, this one. This is in KL, in Kuala Lumpur, and the long deck house. This client gave me literally a 100-page PowerPoint for this little house of all her requirements. But basically, I extrapolated that out to these sort of main points here. Single story, maximize views to garden, covered deck as an extension to the house, and think of the house as a canvas. So keep it very sort of understated again, the house, so she can put her personality in the house. And as I say, it's in the city, and it's completely surrounded by other houses. This is the plot, this is the access road, and that's the only bit of frontage that we have. The rest of it is these are all houses with plots on them. We do have this little stream here, which has some trees in, which became very important to the house here. So this is the entrance, the only bit of road here, where we enter. And so because it's completely surrounded, we actually made this into a courtyard house here. So all the spaces look into it, but these existing trees we could actually bring into the experience as well here. So again, they're very understated here. You don't really get much of a view until you get out into the courtyard like this. And then at the back, the site fell sharply, just this corner here. We managed to get a little swimming pool down below the deck here. So this becomes the long deck. But the living room and the dining room all open up, just like this open area here. So all becomes an open area. And this deck sits above like this linear pool here, and is sort of separate from the rest of the house. Then this is open, all open. So the circulation of this house is part of the courtyard here. There's no walls around this one. So this client being in the city, this client was quite brave, I think, to agree to this. So to go from the kitchen area or to a bedroom, you come out into the courtyard. To go to the bedroom, into the kitchen, you come out into the courtyard. So this is the only view we get from the road, just this little corner here. And we get some glimpses, when the front, that is the door there, it's open at the moment, we get some glimpses in. If it's closed, we get some glimpses through the perforated wall here, through here. So we get some glimpses through. And this actually becomes part of the house as well, this part of the outside area here. And once we get through the door, we come out into the courtyard. Okay. So the courtyard here, this is the long deck, as the house giving its name, with the hovering over the linear pond here. Then the trees in the background, again, we get this layering of space, of light to shadow, of bringing us through the space. And then around the walkway, we get places to sit and just enjoy the courtyard. Yeah, so this wall here, which becomes part of the living room here and part of the entrance here, this wall encloses the courtyard here. Views of the circulation back to the entrance. Very simple little house, but spatially, I think it works for her. Then the living room all opens up as well. Again, raw materials, off-form concrete, and brickwork. And we get these vistas. We get this axis of the courtyard through from the entrance and then up to the long deck. We get these views, these vistas from the powder room here out through to the trees at the back. So when we come into this is like the powder room or the toilet here for guests, and then the two guest rooms here. Basically, we're outside. These louver areas. They have glass over, so we don't get totally wet here, but they are not enclosed. So they're considered I consider them outside spaces. And then the master bedroom, she just moved in here, so that's why she has a mattress on the floor. But this is the master room here. So she can open up all her wall here, and so the whole of the bedroom then becomes the water garden, and the wall of the dining here becomes part of her bedroom here. And then when it rains, of course, we have our fountain coming down into the pond here. So it makes quite a magical space. We detail everything, so all these sort of raw columns, for instance, we give the contractor all the details, actually how to construct them, how to do the formwork, etc. Same for the roof slabs. We detail everything minutely, even though they're quite raw and rough, we actually have to make them very precisely. Okay, a view from the back of the long deck where we get to see down to the pool here, and then the trees in the background here. So we're in the city here, but we actually are very isolated from it. We feel like we feel like we're away from everything else, even though we're surrounded by houses. Right, this is a factory in the forest, which is an electronic factory, office and production. It was an architectural, we won this competition, and the client, the main request from the client that it would be a low energy building. He didn't ask for a forest, he didn't ask for any of this, but he asked for it to be a low energy building. So it's in Penang. It's actually on the mainland, but Penang State, this is Penang Island, but this is still part of Penang State over here, so it's just on the mainland. Another industrial park. Excuse me. And for those who don't know Penang, it really is a very special place. Georgetown, the main town, is a World Heritage Site, and its flora and fauna is really remarkable as well. It is a very beautiful green island. But much is being lost because of the rate of development and the type of development. So we actually wanted to, after visiting the site, you'll see in a minute, we wanted to actually put something back there. And we all know why forests. I mean, forests are critical for the macro as well as the microclimate, as we're all aware, I think. So this was the first view of the site. We can see it had been totally cut, everything cut, by the developer in this industrial area. So our first reaction was actually to put a forest back there, to put a forest back there and then insert the factory within the forest. Not make a factory, then put some trees around it, but actually make a forest. And that was sort of the conceptual thinking about it. So as I mentioned, the key client requirement was for low energy. But what we wanted to do, because the industrial places tend to be a bit soulless, we wanted to actually create a stimulating working environment for the client and all their employees, not just the managers, but for all the workforce, all the people in the factory as well. So this is just about the sun path, how it comes in. So this was our competition entry. Just a few of the drawings for it. This one, a bit diagrammatic, but it just shows the intent that we had the production, we wanted a courtyard, we wanted the office at the front there, linking through, and then we wanted to create this forest around it. The competition plans. So this was the forest. We created these tree belts coming over, so we were parking in a forest rather than a car park with a few trees. Then the production area, that was pretty much fixed, and we create these courtyard with these two-blade walls to give the courtyard some privacy, and then the main office lobby here. And this is sort of faceted areas. These are catching rainwater, and then the rainwater is slowly released as we throughout the day. This becomes a very popular area, and this for the workforce to sit in their breaks and their lunchtime is very cool here. And then the whole area. This is the first floor with the roof garden. This is the first floor here with the offices sitting in the middle of it. And then we're encouraged to sort of come out onto the roof garden here. Then the link bridge, the link back to the production. Up to the next level is this is the boardroom level, which projects out, and the function space, etc. And then the link bridge back, and again more roof gardens. Then the whole lot is covered by this oversailing canopy here, giving shade to all those roof gardens. Because as we know, in the tropics, you can create nice outside spaces, but if they're hot and there's no breeze, people won't use them. Some images we sent with the competition, actually. Just to show how it would be. And it ended up pretty much like this, actually. So I want to show a little bit how we work. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but just to enlighten how we work a little bit, we draw everything. We don't leave anything to suppliers or contractors to design and build. We actually detail everything. We draw everything. So we start off at a small scale, and then come up to a larger scale, then come up to a larger scale, pick out all the details, and we do this all over the project. Every aspect of the project, we do this. And then when we get onto site, we obviously have a lot of mock-ups, the usual thing, but we make sure everything is working. Connections, even things like the fire alarms and everything like this. Always with a sketch pad. We sketch a lot at site like this. Even the services, which we don't leave that to the engineers, we will work with them to actually get them very neat and in the right order, etc. to get what we want. And this was a site sketch. So this was a very important, this is the lobby of the office, but it has this riser, exposed services going up through it. many of them, and we just had to make sure that it was all correct. We couldn't leave this to the engineer or the contractor to do, so we actually worked very closely with them, and because we didn't want them sort of passing over each other, these services, and it would be a right mess. So we draw it all out. So you can see here the services, how it ended up. Very sort of neatly spaced and coming around the space. But this would not happen unless the architect actually makes it happen, I think. Yeah. So then we also with the radiant, it's a radiant cooling slab, this. So again, we have to make sure all the pipes, these PEX pipes are coming up all over the factory area. We just have to make sure they're all come up in the right manner and neat. Otherwise, it would be a total mess. Even the formwork for the off-form, we design it all to make sure that we get sort of the right sort of feel that we want with the concrete. You know, and we have to cast in just a little bit these lights to make sure that they're flat area, because this is sloping up. Yeah. So the building itself. So this is the finished building. So we have this canopy which is shading the car park, the office roof levels, and the courtyard. This huge, great canopy here, with the ballroom coming out. This is an early photograph. These were taken on the month when it was complete. So we just planted this. So obviously it's not a forest yet, but what we did, because we have these tree belts going right through the factory, right through the car park, we planted about maybe 10 to 12 different species of trees in each of these tree belts we planted. So we get an immediate enclosure, we get an immediate effect, if you like. Because normally you probably find 1 or 2 trees in a car park like that. But here, we wanted to get this sense of enclosure straight away. This is the boardroom cantilevering out. So again, it's early on in the project, this one. Because within no time, it's grown up like this, and we have to start then pruning out. So we get an immediate enclosure. They grow fast in the tropics, as we know, and then we prune out as necessary, because the whole place becomes a jungle, basically, which is essentially what we want. And we encourage them to leave it very wild, and they do, the client. So again, minimum hard surfaces, shaded. Again, this is the car park, where it's just stepped out from the canopy. And you can see from this thermographic image, again, how much cooler. You can walk along this road in the sun, walk under the canopy, and you actually physically feel the temperature difference. It can be as much as 10 degrees. It really works. So some images of the roof gardens, the entrance for the workforce. Again, we have places for them to sit. We design this all the way around, all over the forest. This is the faceted entrance lobby, view through to the courtyard at the back here, and you can just see the office, the factory at the back there. Into the triple volume office lobby here, with the cantilever staircase coming out, all off form. We come up to the next level. So this is actually pretty early on. Probably maybe after a year, this will take on like this. We encourage the staff. Well, we encourage the client that they can let staff out there, take their laptop, cup of coffee, have meetings out on the in the roof garden there. because it's cool. Up to another level. And then this is the boardroom breaking into the lobby, and then the office. One side of the office here. A view looking down from the boardroom level. And a typical meeting room. So a meeting room will there'd be something like this. Also what we did, we gave each space, small and big, a name. So, and those names were from plants in the forest, which we've planted. And then we drew them all. The architects drew all the plants like this, a bit stylized, but then with a lot of explanation. And so whatever room this was the name of the room. And then the people who are working there can actually gain a little bit of knowledge about what's outside their window. So each room was like this. So again, it strengthens our connection to the forest. So these are some of the drawings we did. So we created these roof lights to bring light into the office level, the first floor office level. And then these became places to sit on the roof garden like this. And then we created places to sit all round. If it will work. So I think it's just nice that you can actually come out, you can find somewhere to sit on your own or have a meeting within nature like this. These are all places to sit around the roof garden. And as I mentioned, we encourage them to keep it very wild. So this is down in the courtyard. These are coming in the courtyard. And this is probably after about 3 years, I think now, this one, of growth. And then falling, on the roof gardens as well, they just grow pretty wild. Like this. And down into the courtyard. So you can just find little places to sit and be on your own or sit in a group. Anywhere. So this is the courtyard quite early on because it's not grown too much yet. So you can see here the three main elements. The office level here, the link bridge and the factory. You can see the factory, we have north light marching across here, bringing natural light right across the factory floor. You can see our spouts here, and when it rains, this much water, this is just gushing down like a torrent here. And from the roof garden, we actually come down section by section, flowing down. The link bridge over the courtyard. Again, this becomes a space in its own right. It's circulation primarily, but it can be used for lectures as well. And it's all naturally ventilated. And it becomes a space, we have a coffee bar, it becomes a gathering space for people from both the factory and the office area here. The canteen expands out. This is from the canteen, looking out. All these doors slide back so we can actually get full exposure out to the courtyard here. Yeah, so the doors slide back, as you see. And this is how we bring the rain down. We let it free fall, free fall, free fall, free fall, and then free fall. And it's all gathered up and sent to a huge harvest tank, which we use for landscape. Yeah. So again, it's for this heightening to the tropical storm, to this climate. Everything is for that. So within the factory itself, this is the factory floor. The office is over here. So the courtyard is between the two. So wherever you are in the factory, you get this view down the factory into the forest between the two. And at the sides of the factory, along the sides, we still want this connection with the nature, with light and the greenery. So we create these freestanding concrete fins which protect against the sun here, as well as the louvers over the top. So wherever you are in the factory, you get this natural light and this connection with nature. This is outside, and outside the factory, the sides of the factory. So the natural light, we want an even distribution across the factory floor. So we actually reflect it in, so it's diffused light. We don't get actually any direct sunlight coming in. So you can see the sort of lux levels we can achieve. So this saves a lot of energy without having to put artificial lights on. And that is looking across. So these are the roof lights across the floor, across the factory. Yeah, that's a section through. Just a little bit on this one. We have the radiant cooling floor, which means we have a reduced air conditioning, conventional air conditioning. We have the DOAS system, which actually extracts coolness from the exhaust air. So it's a very low energy. It uses about half the energy of a conventional factory of this size. The services, the service area, the same sort of principle. We shield them, and that's the factory, and that's my presentation. Thank you very much.